Hi, everybody. You are welcome to the Noisy Book Club podcast. My name is Mofiyinfoluwa O. I'm not usually the host, but today I have the pleasure of sitting with one of the writers of the best book in the world, the best love in Detty December Anthology. Ponmo is a bird that has no place in a cultured culinary sky. Wake it up. I'm super excited to be here in conversation today with Adetutu Tayo, who is one of the writers of the stories in the anthology. We're so excited that you guys can be here today as we talk about the why of the story, the beauty of love stories in December, all the many forms that they take, and so we can get a peek into the amazing mind of the writer who put together this amazing story. So, Adetutu, introduce yourself to us.
Oh, hi. My name is Adetutu Tayo. Everyone calls me Tutu or ALT because, like, I have a middle name that I'm not going to disclose that begins with an L. So, ALT it is. Um, oh, yeah. So, I I would say I've been a writer since I've been a kid, from writing about your imaginary friends to
Everybody
writing
always says
about,
this. I feel like I never had
yeah.
a real friends era because I was just like my mom would just say to me that why do I have to imagine friends? I should be friends with my brother and sister. Like I never had this imaginary friends era.
That's
I'm
so
always
funny.
jealous when I hear people say it, but me, I didn't have
Oh,
that.
that's funny. If I want to go deeper, for lack of, I don't want to sound like a crazy person, but my imaginary friends were sort of like different versions of myself. So it's like, oh,
That's so
I would
wow.
name, yeah, different versions of myself. I would name them. Being a Yoruba child, I have a lot of names, so I name the different versions, the different names. If you've seen Glass now, they can come and carry me now and think that I'm not
Yeah,
okay. I'm okay. I promise you,
mm,
I'm very okay. Okay, so like I've been writing, I think writing just became an outlet for me. Um, from you get bored of talking to those friends, but I realized that there was sort of like a lift whenever I would write about what I was feeling. And for people who know me intimately, it's like, oh, check what Tutu's writing, you know what's going on in her head or in her life. So it's a way for me to literally express all the internal turmoil or for rainbows and sunshine that is going on, depending on what it is. So that's it. During the day, I'm a program manager. I do spreadsheets and data and documents. But when I'm not doing all of that, I'm a writer.
lovely. Thank you so much for being here with us today, Adesuzu. We're so excited to get into the story. First of all, pronounce the title for us. I want to hear it from your own mouth.
Oh, it's called Kauna. Kauna means love in Hausa.
I just love that title. I so much, so much, so much love it. So we want to get into the why of your story. We want to
Hmm.
understand where your head was at. So, what was the initial seed or moment that inspired this story? Like, what was that thing, like that flicker where you were like, "That's my story. That's what it is."
There's so many. So the middle name I didn't want to disclose in the beginning that begins with an L is actually Love. And I just
Mm.
recently stumbled on why I was named that name. And my mom was telling me how it was because of how much it was giving very Oimbo film type thing. But she was telling me that she named me that because of how much love she and my dad shared, how they were each
Oh,
other's first.
you are a love child. You are a love
I
child.
was first love, first relationship, first husband, first whatnot, and I was the first fruit of that. So they decided what better name to name the girl than love, and they were not thinking
That's
about the social
so
suicide it would be for me.
cute.
Yeah,
Those
cute.
are the those are the real yearners. Those are the real lovers.
They
Thank you.
are. I can't even lie, they are. So I'm like, I have to write about this because I'm a boy like that. But where do I put it in my story? And then I'm scrolling on Instagram and there's, oh, love in Detty December. I'm like, I can interject it here somehow. So there's that. I also have a community of women where we're just trying to grow and just be girls. And then inside that community, there's a community for firstborn daughters. And I hear a lot of things from the unrealistic expectations to just the pressure of just being the first and how
Mm,
your mind is already tweaked from when you're a child to know that, you are responsible for everybody literally. And it's overwhelming because I was lucky to have just one sibling and my parents are like, everybody's very independent in my family. So I didn't have like a lot of that. But even at that level, I still had some. I'm still now, as an adult, I'm the one who is always looking out for everybody. I'm the one everybody comes to report to, and then why is that?
Mm,
So I'm just like, and when you talk about it, everybody's like, oh, this is very unreal. And I'm like, no, people need to see how these things actually play out. And it gets dirty in some instances. In some places, it's just the responsibility. But for some people, it's really dark. So how can we also fuse that into this story and all of that? That's how Kauna was birthed.
yeah. I will talk about this more when we get like into the news of the story, but I definitely like how your emphasis on lived experience, because I'm a non-fiction girly, I'm biased already like towards like the reality of our experience. And people sometimes you read non-fiction and people are like, oh my god, there's no way that happened. But guess what? I always say real life is stranger than fiction. Like the things that are actually occurring, like you would
Yes.
be surprised. You'll be surprised at what people's lives actually look like, especially in an interior or like a different place. So when it comes to your characters, who or what inspired these personalities and these voices? There's this thing called like autofiction, where it's like you're writing fiction, but like so much of it like is imported from your own life. You've already like hinted at this being like a collective like experience, but I would say a double question being that like how did those like voices and personalities come in, and what was the process of actually sitting down to write them like?
Okay, let me begin the process. For my first draft of Kauna, I wrote it in one night. I just sat
Ooh,
down,
come
like,
on, hey,
all of
dollars, oh, only big
these
girl in
things,
the house, oh, hey.
all of these things in my head. I need to get it out before I run mad. So I sat down for 4 straight hours and I wrote the first draft. And then building up on the story. Is it okay to talk about what our editorial process was like?
That's actually the next question. So you're right in the middle of it. So like take it away.
Great, fantastic. I was glad when they said, you know what? This doesn't have to just focus on the romantic love. I'm like, yes, that is what I want because it's not every time we'll be doing all lovey dovey, puppy eyes, and
Yes,
all of that.
let's make it real. According to Portable, let's talk reality things.
Honestly, and this was such a challenge for me because when I saw it was timely, because I knew it was time to get back into writing and actually putting my work out there. And for a lot of things I write, people are like, "Oh my god, for such a bubbly personality, a lot of the things that you write are dark." I said they only seem that way because they are real. I don't sugarcoat anything. I write it as real as it is. So writing about love was a struggle that I took because I'm like, for a writer, you have to, have range, right? So when we did the first draft and they're like, oh no, this family story is good. How can we focus on this? I'm like, yes. So that was now when we did the second draft, it was very exciting for me. So the characters, the parts of the stories that were stories from my childhood. Take for example the love that the parents shared and Mommy Forgive Me. But after losing we lost our dad at a very picky age and my mom it was unconsolable. It was deep for her.
Mm,
And so I took that part. It was just a lot of then I have people, like I said, firstborn daughters who are telling me what they go through, what their relationships are like with their siblings, how sometimes it feels like they're not part of the family,
mm,
even though they're part of the family, they're always like the odd one out, stuff like that. So bringing all of those together, because I had people telling me all of this, just fusing all of this together was what,
mm.
created the story. Yeah.
What it has been your highlight? Every writer's journey, as we've seen, is like can be so quite long and winded. And so for you, who's like
Mm-hmm.
an writer, that you coughed out your first draft in 4 hours in one night. But looking back at the journey from blank page to finished draft to holding,
Mm-hmm.
your words in print on the page, what was your favorite part of the entire process?
So, if I'm being very honest, a lot of it is still very surreal to me. So I have to sleep with a copy of the book beside me every time I look at my notes
Yes,
and be like,
please
oh my
show
God,
us
I
your.
actually did
I'm the only
it.
one that doesn't have my copy here. I feel so bad, but please. Ooh.
And I'm like, oh my God, that's actually my name. I actually did it. Even at the book launch, honestly. I attended the book launch sort of like a guest, like, oh my God, these are things that I like. Those are the
Yeah.
kind of events I like. And then it's like, oh, come and read. Oh my God, Tutu, I love your book. And then people are coming to sign. I told my friend, my bestie was with me. I'm like, this is serious. So it was really nice for me to. This is okay, no, not the first time, but the first official time actually that I'm putting a whole story out, and I made it to being having it on paper. It's been a very
Yeah.
thrilling experience for me. So I can't particularly say what the best part was. The whole process was beautiful, from working with the team to having my editor and then seeing it actually come to, she's my editor, by the way, to see it actually come to,
Great.
it's
You're
been a lovely experience.
dreaming. I think that it can be such a surreal experience as a writer seeing your words on the page. Like even when it happens with magazines or journals, there's like that's nice, and which is what I've experienced so far. I've seen my work in print.
Mhm.
But imagine like a book with an ISBN number, a book that is in the Library of Nigeria, a an actual living, breathing piece of something that started in your mind. I think that's incredible. And yeah, as your editor, as just like a woman writer, I am so incredibly proud of you. I'm proud of the work that you've
Thank
put
you.
into getting there. People underestimate how difficult editorial processes are, but the back and forth be back and forthing. And just like your fidelity to the story and your commitment. I have two questions next. So first of all, what were you hoping to convey about modern love, modern dating, especially in the setting that you're in? I think one of the things I loved about your story was that it wasn't set in Lagos. You know, every time we do the call out for the love
Mhm.
in the other author chat I was a part of yesterday, Tezor Dedam's story by Fate of Fatigue is set in Port Harcourt, and it's like we obviously Lagos being like the cultural hub and whatever and whatever and whatever, but I think that we're still moved and so interested by your story because of its geographic uniqueness. So what were you hoping to convey about modern dating in the setting that you set it up in for us?
Yeah, so I think that this is also something that has played out in my life. And moving to Lagos was a big culture shock for me after growing up in that part of the country. Dating there is very conservative, you know. And as much as I'm not the biggest lover girl, like we were having a conversation earlier and I rolled by, so I'm not the biggest. But when you love in that setting, you actually love. Like you said, it's for the
Mhm.
yearners because there's so much peace. There isn't so much of a distraction. So you guys can focus on yourself and get to know each other and literally just unravel into each other.
Mhm.
So it is for people who are looking for fast pace. We met today, tomorrow we moved in. It is not the way it works from. It is a slow and getting to know you, one text at a time, one call at a time, or maybe let's take a walk, And I can't believe I'm even blushing saying this because it's giving me, but you get to actually love.
Love the
And I
person.
think yes, that's one thing. If I ever decide to build up on this story, that is something that, I would, flesh out properly.
I think that's such a cool response, especially because I have an argument that Lagos is not a good city to court in, right?
I agree.
And what you're describing sounds like a proper courtship, like where
It
there's like
is.
time spent
It
together.
is.
Because one
It
thing you
is.
need for a proper courtship is shared spaces, like things like a park where you can take a walk, where you can like enjoy company in a way that is not how do I say this? So like I'm always joking, and my book is about this as well, like about just like celibacy and navigating desire. And like I feel like Lagos is such like a sexually charged place, like just like generally. So even like
Yeah.
exploring stories out of the country, like how do you get to know somebody in a gentler way? Like, let's actually not like jump head first
Yeah.
into all the
Yeah.
things and
There's
whatnot.
that
Like actually
stillness. Time isn't,
yes.
time stands still. In fact, it's so crazy. Right before I wrote that story, I took a trip to this city in the book for a retreat. And time was so slow. In fact, at
Mm,
some point, after I stayed a week, I feel like Lagos has polluted me so much. I'm like, you know what? I need to go back to
go
Lagos because
back.
it's too slow. It's too slow. The time was so slow. At 12, things that I haven't gotten done by 5 p.m. in Lagos, I would have gotten done by 12 p.m. And there's so much
Yeah,
time. And there's so much beauty. The air is clean. You can take time to actually enjoy love.
breathe.
It's beautiful. For people who are lovers, when you read the book and find out what the city is, you should visit
You
with
should
your lover.
visit.
Hmm.
What reactions were you hoping to evoke from your readers when you read this? I know as writers we create from our own perspective, where we're like, this is what this book
Mhm.
is about for me. But what were
Mhm.
you hoping that readers would read and take away from the story? Like after reading, they'd be like, this one has like pierced my heart.
Yeah. And so, as a human being, naturally, I'm an instigator. So I love to instigate. So I was hoping that the readers read it and be angry. Anger
Mm,
is one emotion that I was hoping to provoke. Also, because this is my payback, I read a book um, shortly before I wrote this, and I'm trying to remember. It's either Ogadima or Adam or
mm,
Adama or something like that. I know those books annoyed me so much that I couldn't sleep. I was angry in
mm,
my sleep. So I mean, I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do this, and then somebody else. I'm going to pass it on. So anger, anger, and then hope. Anger and
mm,
hope.
mm,
Yeah.
mm. One of my favorite definitions of hope is from a poem by a Ghanaian writer. Her name is Trifina Yeboah. And she
Hmm.
says that hope is a wound that goes after better things. And I think the idea of hope being a place of wounding, being like a place, I think we paint hope in a very positive fluttery light, but real
Hmm.
hope can sometimes like feel really painful to yearn and like like look forward to like something different. And I think that complexity and that heaviness is definitely something that shines through in your story. Let's talk about the characters. Let's talk about our main protagonist. If your protagonist were a real person reading this story today, what is one thing that you would want them to know?
Um, I would want them to know that they're not alone.
Hmm.
And sometimes it's okay to break the norm of taking the beating from everything and everybody and actually change it for everybody. I literally I decided to show one time that he said, change it for their daddy. Real, literally, I would think that we would actually get a lot of problems solved if we would just stop taking in, and we don't realize how much that does to our minds, right? When you just keep taking in and taking in. It's like
Hmm.
you would break down, you would burst at some point. So and when you burst, it's harder to piece yourself back together. So it's better to just release. So I would say you're not alone and feel okay to release. Remove yourself from environments that don't work and find a way to release. That's what I would say to that.
I think that that is such a poignant, expression, especially that hinging on release. I think so much
Hmm.
of like how we're raised, especially as women in Nigerian society, is very repressing in nature. Like,
Yeah,
you are
yeah,
like just put everything inside your cooler. Somebody says something strange to you on the road, put inside your cooler. Somebody makes a funny comment when you're driving on the road, put inside your cooler. Somebody makes a funny comment about your hair, your appearance, put inside your cooler. And it's like, where are the spaces for expression, especially when there's that added pressure of like the familial dynamic? Like,
yeah, yeah,
Nigerian women have to hear crazy things in the domestic space. Like people are they like, "And you're at home, like you didn't go out." These sentences, these horrible things, they find you like in your own yard, like, and
yeah.
so even the language to be expressive, the language to actually say things as they are. I think it's just hugely important, and I really like the idea of like release and letting go. Authors often struggle with like certain perspectives. So we get the perspective, the protagonist obviously like our main one, but we also get to hear a lot like from the mother. And there's that particular reconciliatory scene that just like tugs on my heart a lot, both as a reader and as an editor. And even, the brief guy like dancing at the peripheries of the story. So how did you find juggling those multiple perspectives when you were writing?
Um, so if I'm being honest, because some I told you some of the story is mine, and then part of it is also something that a close friend has experienced. At some point, I teared up. I'm never going to lie,
Mm.
and it's how I also knew it was going to be such a good story because if it could provoke emotion from me, who is writing, I- it would be more immersive for the reader.
Agaraita,
Uh,
she said we sabi cook. I do cook.
Uh, but I feel like I'm very happy for the mix because it's what life is. It's like a roller coaster. One minute you're in love and having the time of your life. The next minute your major pain is coming from the people closest to you. Um,
Mm.
or there's someone who is a constant in your life, like the saccharine sister that you can't get rid of. It's like an itch that you can't reach. You cannot get rid of this person, and why they annoy you so much is because of how much you actually love them. They're probably the people that you love the most. Yeah, so it's a plethora of emotions that it was it was nice, and it was emotional for me. It was a mix of everything. I'm not even gonna lie.
I think that I really loved being able to hear the mother's perspective. Number one, I have a crusade that middle-aged or older Nigerian women don't really get like a lot of screen time in Nigerian literature. It's why one of my favorite books is Yewande Omotosho's An Unusual Grief,
Yeah.
because you get to see like a middle-aged Nigerian woman like experience grief, experience desire, experience regrets, all these like difficult emotions. And I don't know if you've read Butter Honey Pig Bread,
Hmm.
but it's another book where the couple, the girls, the twins parents, their father dies, and like
Mm.
their mother never recovers from that grief. Like she never recovers from that
Yeah.
grief of losing her lover, so much so that it actually impairs her ability to parent. Like she actually can't even mother her children because of like the depth of the grief. I remember reading that and being like,
Yeah.
wow, this writer is so special because that's a perspective we don't often hear of. And even when you hear it, it's things like,
Hmm.
oh, after she lost her husband, she poured all her love into her children, right? We all like,
Yeah.
she just faced her. That's the more popular narrative, and that's because we don't see mothers as people, as lovers. Like we don't actually know that like somebody losing their like love could fracture other parts of their identity in that way. And
Hmm. Hmm.
I think of the protagonist's mother as well, that losing your lover could essentially like make you like a bad mother. And I think that that's something that people never think about in terms of how we construct mothers and how we construct motherhood within Nigerian literature, which is only a reflection of Nigerian society. It's so easy for us to think that Nigerian moms, that's all they are. Like, so if you are a widow, if you lost your husband, like that's like your own wala, like face like this motherhood.
Mm.
But that
Yeah.
I was really pleased to see the characterization and that unique tension being introduced in it. And I would just one thing I we did on the last episode that I really liked is I would like you to pick like a paragraph that you really really like from your story and read it for our listeners, and also to let them know exactly what they are missing if they don't get their hands on a copy of Ponmo Is a Bird.
Mhm.
So flip for
Okay.
us, find something juicy for
You
us,
guys
and let's
have to give me time because I love a
see.
lot of I love a lot of the characters.
Yes, I think that you will
Something
definitely find
juicy.
something.
My first impulse was to run into her, but I knew I would break her. Phoebe had always been a fragile, sickly child, and it seemed to have affected her development. That frailty, along with her less than sharp intellect, felt like a direct consequence, offset only by her surprisingly vibrant complexion. Does that work?
I think something I also really enjoyed about her protagonist is that she's so angry. You don't really see like angry, like as far angry like she can deck somebody. I was like, wow, I like that. Let's throw hands. Why not?
Yeah, but a lot of first
Let's get
daughters are like
fist
that.
fight.
They're very angry.
Yes, you're right about
They
that. I
seem
feel like they're
reserved and
very
quiet, but in their heads, they are killing everybody.
aggressive. I think that the story is hugely important because of these depictions we get to see of women, of mothers, of
Hmm.
daughters. And I really like that, this is one of the stories where romantic love is in the periphery, because it's even good for us as a
Yeah.
people to stop obsessing about romantic love. Enough is enough. Every day cannot be about wedding and marriage. Every day, every day, please.
Please,
Let We don't chop ever, chop
please.
ever, chop. We don't chop ever,
Thank
chop
you.
ever.
It's such a lot. Like, I've not even decided what I'm going to eat today. You want me? You mean?
Bro,
No,
not
please.
again. Not again. And so I just really enjoyed that unique perspective. I was really moved by it. I really liked it. And,
Mhm.
I don't know if you've had a chance to like read through the rest of the book, but are there any stories you've read in the collection so far that like really jump out to you? Maybe even one that you love it so much that you're like, should have written it, so it should have been me.
There's one. I feel like if I say it now, it will be like, oh, this one is a feminist. It's just woman, 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 woman all the time. I'm sorry, I can't help it. So
Yes,
that's
please.
one. I have to read out the name so that I don't murder it.
Okay.
Is Kamashabe, I think. Kamashabe.
Yes.
I hope I'm not
Yes.
murdering it. Uh, by Natasha Mukamba. Please forgive me if I
Yes.
murder it.
Tell us why you loved the story so much.
The story sort of gives me like a big sister perspective where I've been in, not even directly from my sibling or like from people who younger women who are around me. And first of all, is I would snitch from the very beginning as to why you should or shouldn't. I will snitch, because I'm obviously not trying to have you in the same position I was in. But all of the drama of don't do this, don't do that, and being, that it provoked some emotion because I was shouting like, just say what's going on. Can we just know what's going on? And even for the other ladies, like, can you not see? Bro, can you not see? So I like that it was able to like provoke some emotion, and it's also definitely something outright because it's something I always vent about anyway.
And
Yeah,
she's such an amazing writer as well.
it
And
is.
I think that we definitely got like such a strong cohort of writers together for this book. Incredibly proud of you all. And as we just begin to wind up, I wanted to ask you like what has it been like to actually see and feel your story move through the world? Have people come to share their experience of reading it with you? And is this the first time you'll be published in print? How do you feel being an author? What's it like right now in your writer's life?
It's very amazing and very, it scares me at the same time.
Mm.
Yes, it's my first time being published in print. Yeah, it's my first time being published in print. And it's very thrilling for me. I had the goal to be published in print, but I had it for this year, actually, not for last year. So
Ooh, come on.
me sending in that, sending in that, and having it being picked and being published, I'm like, yay! And I'm like, oh my god, at the same time, because it means you can't just be published once, you don't want to be a one-time wonder. So
Wonder,
now
yeah.
there's a bit of, okay, so we need to start getting more work out there, we need to start to, and it can't be less than what you already put out. So it has to keep getting
Mm,
better. So there's
mm,
the subtle pressure to be better, which I'm always a fan of. Like anything that pushes me to growth, I'm always a fan of. But it's been
mm,
an amazing experience and really heartwarming having my friends even come and tell me, oh my God, I read your story, it's so great. Why haven't you been writing? Stuff like that. And I have had even the people who used to say, so this thing that you're writing sometimes, we're scared that we need to pray for you because it's so dark, having to say, oh my God, this is such good work and all of that. So it's been really heartwarming and really encouraging and pushing me for growth. It even put me on like a challenge to write every day, which I failed at, restarted a couple of times. But
mm.
yeah, it's been an inspiring and heartwarming journey.
So happy to hear that. And my final question for you is, for someone listening to this podcast right now, tell them
Mhm.
why they should leave whatever they are doing, run and not walk to go and get themselves a copy of Ponmo Is a Bird and to read particularly your story. What are they going to find? What's going to mark them? What is going to pierce straight through their heart? Why do they need to buy a copy of this book?
Okay. So I know that our ideal demographic is not only people in our generation or our age bracket, but one thing I know is people like to see things that they can relate to, and things that are not the conventional, you know, King James themed type literature. From the title, you guys can tell that
Hmm.
it's not one of those because the title is very thought provoking. My story also is for a lot of people is a taste of um, the North. People we don't get to see highlights
Hmm.
of that, and as growing up there, I see that there's such rich culture and way of life that isn't particularly broadcasted enough. You know, they don't have enough PR. So you're getting a all the stories in this book are very unconventional. I'm sorry, but I love it. They are not your typical, oh, I'm picking up a book and it's a deeply, you know, it takes you on different, it's like going to buy gelato, right? And you have pistachio, you have cherry, you have, but they're all ice cream and they're good ice cream. That's what this book is. So, I'm telling you, that's what it
I,
is. So I would say, please pick up a copy. It's a beautiful, thrilling journey. It's a
mm,
beautiful, thrilling journey.
well, you heard it from the best. A beautiful, thrilling journey. That is what we are calling Ponmo Is, a bird that has no place in a cultured culinary sky. And thank you so
Mm-hmm.
much for listening to our author chat today. And I just want to end this by telling you that whatever you are doing, you should stop, run, and not walk to go and grab yourself a copy of the Love in Detty December Anthology called Ponmo Is a Bird That Has No Place in a Culture
Yes.
Culinary Sky, selling at Roving Heights. You can DM us on Instagram to get your copy. Look at that painting, look at the fireworks in the sky, look at that bright red cover. You know, what do you
Mm-hmm.
really want that is more than this? What is
Yeah.
there, if it is not Ponmo Is a Bird That Belongs in the Culture Culinary Sky? Thank you so much for joining us. You can listen to us wherever you listen to your podcasts and make sure that you buy a copy of our book. Thank you and catch you next time on the Noisy Book Club podcast. Bye.
Bye.